Hi, welcome back to Audiobook Academy. This is a self-paced audiobook. There's no need to keep an eye on things. Just pay attention. Thank you for taking the time to listen. At times, it may appear like the demands placed on you at work are excessive. And at home are becoming increasingly difficult. You're also a hard worker, which is a plus. While you're pursuing significant objectives, these elements, taken together, suggest that you will be stressed out. That is very typical. However, there are situations when tension becomes excessive. We also don't always manage stress appropriately. For some folks, every few years is a big deal. This results in a condition known as burnout. This results in a loss of concentration and interest during work. The feeling of extreme exhaustion as well as other tense reactions. The good news is that it isn't necessary. I'll explain what it implies in this course. Should be able to recognize and control the triggers that resulted in this situation, and how to stay away from burnout. Furthermore, if burnout occurs, I'll outline the steps you can take to continue on the road to recovery. Let's get started because we have a lot to do. Let's start by thinking about burnout. About the related ailment known as stress. We've all heard the word stress before. This is how your body reacts to changes. The hazards posed by tough situations. Reactions, both mental and bodily. A stress reaction should, in theory, serve as a warning. In order for you to be able to alter your conduct or situation as needed, as a result, the stress level is reduced. Workplace stress, on the other hand, is a serious issue. Is that you are unable to leave your job. Stress can then appear to be ever present. Irritability, for example, is a common reaction. If you're feeling a touch jittery or, on rare occasions, sleeping problems. Of course, increased stress can result in a variety of outcomes. That's a lot more challenging. These could be physical, emotional, or psychological. And behavioral responses that have an effect on your capacity to concentrate, the energy you have at work, as well as your health. Everything from high blood pressure to weight gain is covered. Now, if your stress level rises to dangerously high levels, and it is permitted to continue at a high level, some people start to have problems. Something that is more harsh. That's what burnout is. As a result, burnout is a difficult or unpleasant reaction to long-term stress. When you've had enough of burnout, it's time to go on. The stakes have never been higher. There's a chance you'll experience severe mental and bodily issues. Significantly increases. Anxiety, mood disorders, and other mental illnesses fall within this category. Melancholy, and even incapacitating exhaustion. This is why it's so important to talk about burnout prevention. The stakes are simply too big to overlook. Economies all over the world are losing billions of dollars every year in lost productivity. Employee fatigue is to blame. In terms of medical expenses, the estimations are in the hundreds of billions of dollars once again. That's okay, but as a dedicated professional, what significance does burnout have for you personally? For starters, it denotes that your company is well established. Is not only going to lose money, but it's also going to lose credibility. It will also suffer a significant talent shortage. If your company is regarded for being a safe environment. Burnout is a condition that occurs when people are overworked. Acquiring and keeping top talent, it will get more challenging. Even if you do manage to keep your talent, in terms of diminished production, the cost will be extremely considerable. And the expense of health care, of course. The repercussions on the organization aren't the only thing to consider. There may be an immediate effect on you. This is where burnout takes on a personal dimension. It frequently causes significant weariness or fatigue, increased cynicism, a frigid feeling of indifference concerning job, a sense of disconnection or loneliness. Then there are the expected work-related outcomes. Reduced productivity and worse quality of work. There is, however, reason to be optimistic. Working deliberately is the finest strategy for you on how to avoid burnout so that you never have to deal with the problem. That's a goal you can reach with a little forethought. Hard work pays off, and success is awe-inspiring. However, it can be a slippery slope at times. More duties, longer hours, and loftier objectives, there's a temptation to go a little further. While sleeping less and ignoring your own needs, that is why it is critical to recognize the signs of burnout. Be aware of your surroundings before you run out of gas. And keep an eye out for these warning indications that you're on the verge of becoming burnt out. A sensation is the first sign. Because each and every day is a waste of time, you have the impression that you are spinning your wheels. And I'm not getting anything done. If you've been feeling this way for a few weeks, it's time to seek help. You're probably suffering from burnout. Constant weariness is another telltale indication. Every now and then, we're all exhausted and on the verge of collapsing. However, if you have a strong nagging feeling, it's difficult to get anything done when you're exhausted, that's a warning sign. People in this state can also develop mental illnesses. A highly pessimistic attitude. This could include a strong sense of unappreciation, or the belief that their work is unimportant, or a bad attitude toward others. This can result in increased interpersonal conflict. Impaired cognitive functioning is a related symptom. This frequently entails a lack of capacity to focus and concentrate. A decrease in workplace creativity, or a significant increase in work-related mistakes. Of course, there is one symptom that is all too common. Is a reliance on chemicals from outside the body. Drugs and alcohol, as well as prescribed pharmaceuticals, are examples. Perhaps it might be as straightforward as binge eating or poor eating habits. All of these are attempts to escape facing truth, instead of dealing with the source of the problem. This form of coping behavior is predictable, can exacerbate weariness while also causing new physical problems. Headaches, backaches, and other aches and pains. With all of this in mind, let's go on to the next step. Seeing work becomes the ultimate symptom. As a persistent source of negativity in your life, you may feel as if you're always working, even if you aren't. You might be filled with dread when you're trying to force yourself to go to work. It may become progressively tough for you to get going as soon as you arrive, and in reality, you might decide to stay at home every now and again. When you're not feeling well, call in sick. Burnout, at its worst, can cause you to suffer. Loneliness, sleeplessness, and even clinical depression are all symptoms of clinical depression. There are numerous approaches to thinking about prevention. But first, let me introduce you to my personal favorite. At work, I want you to find at least one good confidant. A trustworthy someone who sees you frequently. If they see two, give them the authority to speak to you personally. Or one or more of the red flags we just discussed. A modest dose of honest feedback is sometimes all that is required. Will jolt you awake and keep you from succumbing to burnout. Keep in mind the signs we discussed as they pertain to you, and be certain that no one else is affected. Is also keeping an eye out for you. That's a wonderful place to start when it comes to avoiding burnout. Burnout can be caused by a variety of factors. In reality, despite the fact that many of us crave it, success in the workplace can be a major issue at times. The number, for example, may be the most important component here. The number of hours we work. According to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, Mexico is the world leader in terms of growth and development. South Korea and Greece came in second and third, respectively. All of them work more than 2,000 hours per year. Workers in the United States put in the most hours, coming in among the big developed countries at a rate of more than 1,700 hours each year. Of course, the majority of them are average. Many people work more than 40 hours per week and have multiple jobs. As a result, I think burnout is unsurprising. Let's think about what you do for a moment. Take, for example, your level of responsibility. More responsibility, predictably, means more stress. Furthermore, the net effect must be considered. Of all of your important work ties, the relationship is by far the most important. You have with your immediate boss. The degree to which a relationship is more negative in the long run. Whether the situation is pleasant or negative, stress can quickly build up. Consider how your boss controls you as well. You can have a profound sense of powerlessness. And that's a challenge. You may also be confronted with a lack of clarity around your objectives and expectations. Again, it's a stressful situation. Add in the possibility of not being recognized. Thank you for your contributions, as well as, burnout is more likely to occur. Okay, one last thing to think about at work is job fit. Or the extent to which you are interested in skills are in line with what you do on a daily basis. You guessed correctly. A poor fit causes more tension. So, in the long run, you must take action. To find roles that are a good fit for your personality, now let's look at the non-work side of things. I want you to consider the quality first. Among your most important relationships, family and close friends make up the majority of this group. When those bonds become strained, that tense feeling it gives you will follow you to work. And put a weight on how you're feeling. Another consideration is the strength of your own identity outside of work. You might be an engineer or a vice president at work, which is fantastic. However, that persona cannot be your sole identity. People that are successful and healthy are always happy. A variety of strong non-work identities to aid in the maintenance of equilibrium. This could be a father, a wife, a coach, or a volunteer. Who knows, but don't forget about your non-work personas. Finally, I'd want to bring up your physical health. We won't go into detail here except to say that diet, exercise, and sleep are all important in terms of the possibility of burnout. This includes eating more fresh foods and consuming less unhealthy fats. To maintain good energy levels, some type of frequent activity. Every night, you should get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Clearly, there are numerous aspects to consider. Burnout is a result of these factors. This is your rallying cry. Regardless of your current situation, whether it's a case of stress or burnout. Can you start articulating the primary factors now? Leaving a lasting impression on you? I sincerely hope so, because with these considerations in mind, you'll be far more inclined to address problems and improve as a result. Are you prepared to begin? Making meaningful strides in stress management and burnout prevention? You don't need to start sprinting to accomplish this. One positive move at a time is all that is required for success. Let's start with a topic. Numerous experts recommend diet and exercise are the most essential factors. The most basic aspect of this subject is sleep. You'll need 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night. It's all about the food and activity. Something many consider to be more complicated. You don't have to worry about food. To pursue a career as a nutritionist or a master chef, if you can remember only a few health rules, you'll be okay. The advantages, on the other hand, may be enormous. Consume more fresh, unprocessed foods, for example. During the day, eat more regularly. With frequent small meals and nutritious snacks, sugary treats should be kept to a minimum. Such as traditional sweets or alcoholic beverages. Remember to have lots of fiber in your diet. Finally, make sure you drink enough of water. Exercise is actually a little less difficult. You don't have to be a marathon runner to participate. A blend of aerobic and resistance training is ideal as well. However, as long as you get at least 2 to 3 hours, you'll be okay. You're fine if you get in at least 150 minutes of moderate activity every week. Even a few hours of walking per week can help. Has many health advantages. Okay, here are 2 office-related suggestions. First and foremost, you must control your interactions with people. Not only to boost productivity at work, but to promote good mental wellness. If there are persons with whom you want to spend time, you don't blend well for whatever reason. If at all possible, try to get rid of it. Or keep your interactions with them to a minimum. Instead of using paper, go electronic. Face-to-face meetings can be quite beneficial. Your attitude and temperament will appreciate it. Then there's the question of vacations. People, in my opinion, do not have enough of it. And some of you are putting in a lot of effort, you don't even use half of it. Here are the 2 most important rules to remember. 1. Put it to good use. Second, when on vacation, make every effort to avoid working at all. The idea is to detach totally. Now for 2 quick pointers for your free time. Meditation is the first. This is a practice that comes in a variety of ways. However, meditation is, at its core, it's all about silently concentrating. In order to increase your self-awareness as well as a greater sense of mental clarity and tranquility, it's all about calming down the mind. It doesn't take long, and the rewards can be substantial. So, choose your preferred resource and give it a shot. Last but not least, and most importantly, journaling is one of my favorite activities. This is a method of writing. Describe your feelings and encounters. We are usually extremely busy around this time. There is no time for reflection during the day. Each week, spend roughly 15 minutes writing about things that have worked or haven't worked, way you were made to feel by them, and what you plan to do about them in the future. Is a fantastic approach to get to know oneself, as well as making plans to be more productive. The key to staying away from burnout is being conscious of strategies that assist you in remaining productive without becoming overly stressed. Hey, you can begin with a single strategy, and you'll start to notice effects. Exercising, for example, or meditating. Pick one, journaling or writing. Give it a shot and you might be surprised. You're on your way to preventing burnout. All is not lost if burnout sets in. There are options available to you to deal with this problem on a one-on-one basis. However, keep in mind that if you're not feeling well, you should seek medical help. Dealing with your predicament is possibly more than you can handle on your own. Please enlist the help of a professional. Now, let's talk about what you can do for yourself. In this case, my preferred option is as a behavioral audit in some form. You start by looking back, compared to the year or two before, to consider the most important decisions. A person, a project, or a set of behaviors. Sadly, this contributed to ultimate burnout. Take your time, be specific, and jot down some ideas. Consider what has happened in the last few years. There were most likely a lot of quality wins. That's fantastic, but we really need to concentrate on setbacks and blunders. They are symbolic of sad or painful times, so think about the promotions you passed up, the clients who were harmed as a result of the errors made, partnerships that were ruined, as well as any other adversity. Here's the tricky part: consider each of those and inquire whether the result was positive or negative. It may have turned out differently. Is there anything you think you could have done better? The majority of people will say no. Maybe I'm not certain. You will almost certainly see a handful of them. One of your customs or habits that clarifies the situation. You're just looking for one right now. Or at least 2 major habits or actions. Perhaps it was speaking out for you. Instead of keeping your opinions to yourself, you should share them with others. Maybe you weren't checking your work thoroughly enough. Perhaps it was a case of putting up with bad behavior. You took something from someone else when you shouldn't have. Now you have a few targets to work with. So now is the time to establish a strategy. I'd like you to think about 3 things. Education is the first. Look for books, online courses, and blogs, podcasts, or other resources that deal with the topic, the problem you've identified. Whatever the problem, there are resources available that will broaden your understanding of the subject. They're frequently inexpensive or free. The next step is to begin training. Consider what in-house training is currently offered. Then think about classes that you can pay for yourself. Presented someplace in your neighborhood. Make a list of any areas where you think you could improve. You'll probably be able to find good training resources in the area. Finally, think about hiring a coach. Another compelling reason to hire a professional coach is to assist you in focusing on 1 or 2 main issues that are causing you difficulties, so that you can devise a strategy for resolving the problem. Start by asking your trusted confidants for recommendations, for a list of references, or begin your search on the internet to locate a qualified individual. Listen up, you can get started right now. Simply choose one good friend, mentor, or role model in your life as a mentor or coach. Get on their calendar and raise your thinking level. can make progress by talking about these difficulties with them that is proactive, and it is at this point that recovery truly begins. While burnout might be murky and perplexing at times, recovery isn't truly a thing. You are a new, more vivid version of yourself. It all starts with a few simple and useful concepts. I'm not going to talk about nutrition and exercise right now. Something you can learn about in a million different places, however, I feel compelled to remind you. Believe a reasonable response to these issues is always a component of the solution. Now for some practical advice. The first isn't so much about work as it is about life. But about taking a break from work. Taking a step back from the situation and the objects. One of the easiest ways to let go of something that produced burnout is to stop doing it. To get rid of unwanted emotions and obtain a new viewpoint, consider how you might be able to return successfully. Whether it's compensated or unpaid time off. A couple more days off work can be really beneficial. It's also a really effective approach to recover. Then you'll need a support group to keep the healing going. One of your coworkers may or may not be included. However, it will undoubtedly feature a few close friends and family members. They must be aware of your circumstances. As a result, be honest with them. Be receptive to their ideas and suggestions. And savor every ray of sunshine, encouragement, and love that comes your way. You can get as much affection as you want. Keeping with this theme, it's also prudent to begin using positive thinking on a daily basis, whether it's as part of a meditation practice, something you conjure up while working out, or simply something that occupies your mind before you retire to your bed. You must actively observe yourself. Not just surviving, but thriving. This is a well-known strategy employed by successful individuals. Spending time is an important part of obtaining success. To visualize success plainly after that, I'd like you to think about the prospect that it's time to rethink your objectives. Perhaps one is no longer rational, or even your most difficult objectives are reasonable. However, it will necessitate the abandonment of a few other objectives or tasks. Consider how a change might be achievable, and how you might tell your supervisor about it, and be prepared to consider their expected objections or inquiries. Remember that goals that are a good fit for you will help you focus. That alone makes the effort worthwhile. Finally, consider learning how to refuse. One of the most common causes of burnout is a lack of sleep. Is the desire to say yes all of the time. You only want to assist, but it's not always easy. It simply implies that everyone begins to seek you out. All the time, I'm asking for help. Listen, somewhere between 20 and 40% of the time, it's a good idea to find a respectful and polite method to say no, so that you can concentrate on your requirements. These are just a few pointers to get you started. You'll be able to locate a lot more if you do your study well. But for the time being, keep these in mind. As a result, you can begin to feel better right now. I'd like for you to assist in your recuperation by having the courage to speak up about your circumstance with another person. This is what I refer to as becoming public. It's the act of exposing oneself and disclosing one's feelings for the purpose of gaining support and possible feedback or any other information that could be useful to you. First, consider telling your manager about your position, your coworkers, and your group. It is entirely up to you who you speak with and when you speak with them. But for those who work closely with you, it's important to keep those who rely on you informed. Discuss burnout and how it has knocked you off track. And let them know you're working to improve your health, back on track and focused. This is something you could keep pent up inside. However, talking about it is usually always better. As a method of coping, you'll need some things outside of work. At least one trustworthy individual with whom you can be completely honest. There is only one person you must choose. It might be a family member, a friend, or even your partner. Tell them why you're doing it, and be honest with them. And explain how you came to be on the verge of burnout. Then, describe your plans. Inform them of your recovery strategy and objectives. Please feel free to inquire about anything in particular. Even discuss calendar dates to demonstrate your determination. The reason for this is that it provides you with more motivation. is due to the fact that enabling someone else to understand what you're concentrating on it frequently feels like a new responsibility or contract. You stated that you will take action. As a result, there's a little more motivation to make improvements now. After that, grant this person permission to speak with you. At least once a week about your progress. It's best to be specific about how this dialogue will occur. I'd like to congratulate you, and I'd like to encourage you to employ a method that yields outcomes. As a result, your best bet is to use the phone, in person or via live video. All additional forms of electronic communication make it far too easy to discount the message's value. The idea is to keep in touch so that they can assist you. Make sure you're keeping track of your progress. When you go public, keep this in mind, both at work and off the clock. There are a number of significant advantages. Except for the ones I've already mentioned. For starters, you're not wasting as much of your scarce energy attempting to appear as if nothing is wrong. Plus, believe me when I say that you aren't a terrific actor, so quit trying. After then, you can cease doing it. What a lot of individuals in your position do, which is to put off dealing with the problem. We've discovered that it's quite simple to put our existing work to good use. Or apprehension about offending people, or tomorrow's tasks to prevent us from doing what is right. Stop putting it off. Finally, you will feel a profound sensation of relief. A weight has been lifted from your shoulders. There will be no more acting and no more delays. So begin right now by thinking about it for a minute. Make touch with anyone you think you would want to speak with. Then you can start planning that first conversation. You've taken the initiative to cope with burnout now. Okay, here are a few final thoughts. Help get you off on the right foot to a life with less burnout. Go ahead and ask your mentor first, or someone you respect who is well versed in your situation, how tense they believe you are. There's always a disconnect between how you see yourself and how others see you, as well as how you are perceived by others. Who knows, you might turn out to be a better actress than you imagined. Alternatively, you may be crumbling in front of everyone. They aren't aware of it, so inquire. After that, here's a helpful approach to comprehend it. Coping with, and then overcoming, burnout is to acknowledge that you're most likely not alone. Open your eyes and take a glance around the workplace. I'm sure you'll locate one or two team members. People are extremely tense. Alternatively, you may be experiencing burnout. Keep an eye on them. It could turn into a beneficial chat for both of you. Finally, consider who you owe gratitude to. We frequently overlook all of the people who, in small and significant ways, contribute to our success. They help, they are supportive, and they are nice. They give you a nice feeling. That's why it's a good idea to express gratitude. Since you'll both be happy, that's a fantastic way to remember it. The significance of positivism on a daily basis. Anyone who is attempting to recover from burnout should read this. By putting the strategies you'll learn in this course to use, you'll be able to. You're allowing yourself a genuine chance to recover. Thank you for allowing me to assist you, and best of luck. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. See you in next audiobook. Please don't forget to subscribe for more content like this.